These three agencies have been trying to fight each other in trying to get ODA to deliver on the ground. And it is only now that we came up with a strange situation where one time when Secretary Alcala could not read his speech, instead of his undersecretary reading his speech, I ended up reading his speech. If only to send the message across that if the three of us are undertaking convergence on the top, then you should also undertake convergence on the ground. So what does that mean? Well, one of the first things that we want to be able to do in the convergence site is to be able to get our people to plan together. And this means integrating the plans of the DA, the DAR, and the DNR, and later on presenting it to the local chief executive. So that the local chief executive does not have to run around like a headless chicken trying to get resources from the three agencies. And if you will notice in the clusters that we have launched in Antique, Iloilo, Isabela, Kamsur, Sorsogon, recently in Quezon. We're about to launch one in Northern Samar and Misamis Oriental. The basic idea is the plans are presented by the three agencies and planned together with the LGU. Now the planning is only the beginning. The other notion of local chief executives when we do convergence is that there are really new funds going to come in. In many situations, there are no new funds that come in because what really comes together are the funds of the DA, the DAR, and the DNR. We put them together, but what is the kicker? The kicker here is not that new funds are coming in, but the same resources are being used in a synergistic manner with the LGU. And we submit that that is going to be the major change that is going to happen. Because our budgets have not increased because of convergence. I'll give you one example. In Iloilo, anyone here from Halaur? Wala. In Halaur, the DA is coming out with, has a rice processing complex which was a grant from COICA. The Halaur Rice Processing Complex was set up, and I think this project was finalized even sometime around 2009, 2010. However, the groundbreaking occurred early this year. There is nothing new in terms of resources that was put in. Our job in the DAR is to organize the agrarian reform beneficiaries. The job of the DA is to come out with a policy framework and the channeling of resources to make sure that the rice self-sufficiency, food self-sufficiency is achieved. The DNR's work is to make sure that the watershed around the Laur water basin is done. In the past, these three people did not talk. What are we doing right now? We're doing this in Laur, we're doing this also somewhere in Davao. I don't know whether it's Del Sur or Del Norte or Oriental. I'm getting mixed up with my geography. The rice processing complex is co-owned by the LGU, the province, and the cooperative. The DA was the one who sourced it, and what are we trying to do right now? No new resources came in, but what we're trying to do right now is that DAR is organizing the farmers to make sure that the rice processing complex gets its feedstock, which is the rice. Because there was no organizing being done, and we're working very closely with the Provincial Agriculture Officer of Iloilo to make sure that happens. We're not going to bring in new funds. The DA is working out the system of the marketing of the rice processing complex and the management. But at the same time, the DNR is making sure that the watershed that will be necessary for the irrigation and the small water impounding dams, which is a project of the DA and DNR, actually occurs, and the timing for the harvest and eventually the usage of the rice processing complex occurs at one time. No new funds were given. No new resources were given. There were many mayors and congressmen who were asking us for additional funds at that time. We said, we don't have the additional funds. What we are giving you is additional efforts at making sure that this rice processing complex occurs. Another example that I'm going to give you is it's an experiment we're trying to do in Negros Occidental right now. It's a sugarcane area. As far as the DAR is concerned, that's 120,000 hectares of sugarcane land that we have to distribute by 2014, of which around 70% is above 25 hectares. What we're trying to do right now is we're working with the Sugar Regulatory Administration to make sure that the block farms work. The block farms are essentially a situation where you have 30-hectare block farms where the mill district officers are able to help the farmers in extension work, in managing the harvest, in selling the warehouse receipts. Where does DAR come in? Well, DAR is the one that has the connection and the organization of the ARB. In that situation, we don't really involve the DNR. So we don't really have to get into a project where all three comes together. Most of our interaction is really done with DA rather than with DNR. In the National Greening Program, we're also working very closely with the DNR in their desire to reforest 1.5 million hectares. Through the initiative of Secretary Prosi, the DNR included coffee and cacao in the greening program. Why? Because there are a lot of informal settlers in the upland and in your CBFM areas which can use coffee and cacao. And a lot of them, we have also special ARCs that are happening. So, what is the framework that the three agencies are doing? Well, we're trying to develop what we call a ridge to reef approach. That's one. So, in planning, we try to look at the entire ecosystem. Second, the second principle we're trying to put together in the Convergence Initiative is that we know that the sustainability of all the projects that we begin will never be sustained by the national government. It can only work if the local government is going to take it on. There's a lot of talk of what will happen to the rural development agencies in the coming years, primarily driven by the fact that DAR is going to close, the CARP is going to stop in 2014. As we speak, we're running we have a technical assistance in the World Bank right now that will try to determine what is going to be the structure of DA, DAR, and DNR. Hopefully by October, we're going to finalize that. And the basic question that we are asking ourselves is, what should the structure be of the rural development agencies post-2014? DA has around 30,000 people, including its attached agencies. I think DNR has something like 18. DAR has something like 12,000 people. So you have 12 plus 30, 42 plus 18, you have something like 50,000 people who are all supposed to be involved in some sort of rural development. And what your government is trying to do right now, what the national government is trying to do right now, is try to put together the structure post-2014. And it was not really planned to be that way, except that CARP is supposed to end. So let me end there, and I'll since I want to eat. No, just kidding. Let me end there and say basically this. The Convergence Initiative is a work in progress. What is clear are the principles of shared resources. Believe me, even the foreign assisted projects that we are doing right now, we are looking at the FAPs of DAR, DA, and DNR and trying to see how the synergies can work there. Even our studies. Second, shared resources of the three departments, which should bring about shared planning and clear objectives. And the second major principle is mainstreaming whatever we start. And we start this always with the local government unit. I know there are many of you in the LGUs who may seem frustrated with our own people in the field. It has been less than 9 months since we began this. We cannot go to all the areas, but I assure you that the field implementers that we have of DAR, DA, and DNR are under very clear instructions to work very closely with the local chief executives and local government in mainstreaming the plans. Let me end there, and hopefully by in the next 2 months we're going to roll out within this month our research agenda for the agrarian reform program, and the next 2 months we're going to roll out also the concrete plans of the three departments in select provinces. We cannot do the Convergence Initiative in one go. But a big part of the one go is if the local government is prepared to put in its own resources. The other news that I have for you from the DAR end is this afternoon there's a NEDA ICC meeting on the local government, national government equity sharing in foreign assisted projects. I know that for the 5th and 6th class municipalities are having a hard time. The DAR DNR Convergence Initiative is also taking the cudgels to try and lower the equity from the LGU, or if not lower it, to reconfigure the equity so that it need not be all cash. I should be able to get you some news in the coming weeks so that we're going to succeed, because all our foreign assisted projects are suffering because of the LGNG equity sharing. That is something that's going to be discussed by 1:30 today. I hope we succeed in convincing our colleagues to amend that. Thank you very much.